Files.
You're with the Sattler Files, and I'm Murray Korf. And joining me in the studio today is Reagan Maro from Advantage Settlements. G'day, Reagan.
Hello, how are you?
Good, thank you. Now, we're going to talk a bit about transferring of properties and one thing and another, because in previous weeks we've heard about how Advantage Settlements can do that just for the purchase, but I understand you can also assist people with transfers of property between spouses. Now, that's a bit unusual. I've not really heard about that.
Yeah, that's right. So when a person, like say a husband owns a property,
Yep.
And, you know, they either have a wife or a de facto partner, and, you know, it's their principal place of residence, they can look at transferring their spouse onto the title.
Okay.
We can help assist them with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is that a reasonably straightforward process, and does it cost?
It is a reasonably straightforward process. At the end of the day, as long as in the purpose of a de facto partnership, they have to have been de facto for 2 years or longer. Mm-hmm. And as long as they satisfy the requirements, the stamp duty would be nominal, so only $20.
Oh, okay.
And then obviously settlement agent fees as well as
Of
registration fees as well.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds reasonably straightforward. And does the same sort of thing apply to ex-spouses? Because obviously I guess that would be like a divorce settlement or a property settlement of some sort, would it?
Yeah, that's right. We can arrange the transfer of property pursuant to court orders. So
Yep.
in order to have nominal duty of $20 stamp duty for the case of a divorce or a separation, they must have orders issued by the family court. Mm-hmm. We obviously can't give legal advice on that. They need to see their lawyer, but they can either download the kit themselves and do it on the family website, or engage a family lawyer to do that.
Yeah.
And by doing that, they avoid the stamp duty, because the stamp duty can be quite expensive, especially if there's a big pool of property that's being separated between the partners. Yeah.
And that can get complicated, can't it, when you're acting under orders from the family court? Are they fairly straightforward things usually?
Yes, we only deal with the property section.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, yeah. And as long as the properties are clearly defined within those orders, then it's straightforward when it comes to stamps office and, you know, dealing with the bank as well, because obviously we arrange their bank for settlement and arrange the discharges of the current mortgage that they may have on the property as well.
Okay. So, of course, that's right. You'd have to. The bank wouldn't be too happy about that. They'd have to have a look at that, wouldn't they?
That's right. Yeah. And in both cases, we obviously update the council as well as the Water Corp and State Revenue Department for land tax as well.
Okay. Oh, land tax. Yeah.
Yes.
Everybody's got their hand out, it would seem.
They do, yes.
So are there any other circumstances where, you know, you would need to transfer between spouses? I mean, we understand the family court thing, but
Yes.
and we also understand de factos, but what happens if you just say, look, rather than be messing around, I just want to get this in my wife's name or my husband's name, without any other, and you just want to do it. Are there any reasons why you can't?
Not to my knowledge, there's no reasons why you can't. We do get a lot of clients that come to us and they've sought advice from their accountant, and they've been advised to, you know, either transfer a portion of the property or the whole property to their spouse.
Okay.
We can help facilitate that. It's just a matter of stating on the transfer the desire of the parties to effect the transfer. Mm-hmm. However, there are stamp duty implications.
Yes, that was my next question.
Yeah, there are. So stamp duty is paid on the benefit being received at market value, or the consideration being paid, whichever is the greater value.
Okay.
So for a purpose of a transfer, if, say, just for argument's sake, they had a payment of, say, $500,000, but the property is only worth $400,000, you pay stamp duty on $500,000. So it's the benefit being received or the consideration, whichever is a higher amount. But we do that quite regularly as well.
In cases where there is a valuation involved, who does that? Does a real estate agent able to do that?
The real estate agent is an appraisal. It's not actually a valuation.
Right.
So there's two options in the case where stamp duty will be paid. The first option is they pay a licensed valuer to value the property. Mm-hmm. That can cost anywhere between $400 to $1,000, just depending on where the property is and all those bits and pieces and who you engage. Or they can opt for a free valuation with the stamps office.
Okay.
So what will happen is we get them to complete a form which states bathrooms, bedrooms, all the information regarding the property, what it's built out of, what's on the roof, how big the land is. And we get them to complete that form and sign it, and we lodge it at the State Revenue Department. And they then send it to the Valuer General's office for assessment, and then they'll issue what they believe the market value is and issue the assessment that way.
Okay. Yeah, well, the less the government gets involved in these things, you're much better off getting a valuer yourself, aren't you?
Yeah, and, I have had circumstances where the valuations have come back a lot higher than what the client believed the property was worth. You can object to it. I think it's within 90 days. However, whether or not they accept that,
they've got to adjudicate that objection.
They
don't
do,
they?
yes, that's right. So, yeah.
And look, obviously this stamp duty business is something that we're all saddled with one way and another.
Yes.
Because there's no getting out of it, is there?
No, there isn't. No,
unless perhaps there are. We talked briefly on it a moment ago, but the stamp duty implications in relation to transfers between ex-spouses and spouses.
Yes.
Once again, it's a question of, I guess, the family court if it's a matter of a property settlement.
Yeah, with the ex-spouses, yes, we recommend that they get legal advice or, do it themselves and arrange for a family court order to be issued, so they've only got that $20 duty.
Yeah.
With spouses, it has to be the principal place of residence and in order for them to be transferred on at the nominal amount. So, and they must hold the property as joint tenants or tenants in common with that person.
Okay.
So they can't just go from husband to wife. As sole proprietor, they have to own it jointly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they have to own it jointly at the time they want to transfer. Is that what you're saying?
That's right, yes. So it has to be the principal place. And the spouse that's being transferred on, they have to own it jointly together as the end result.
Okay,
yes,
gotcha. I get you. Okay.
Yeah, the end result has to be joint ownership.
All right. So in another way, then perhaps if you're bringing up your partner in, you own the property at the moment, right? And you've got a partner, and you want to include them on the title or whatever. That's going to attract stamp duty, isn't it? So in other words, I've got a house. I've just met somebody I really like, and I'm going to move him or her in. So is there a time limit on that? I mean, how does that work to be called a spouse?
You have to be de facto for 2 years under
Right.
the Duties Act, yeah. So they have to have been de facto living together for 2 years before you can apply for that nominal duty.
Okay. So in other words, for the nominal duty, but if you really want to go ahead and do it anyway, before you've completed the 2 years, you can do that. But that's going to attract the full whack of stamp duty, isn't it?
Yeah, on the benefit being received. So if the new girlfriend's coming on at 50%, there'll be stamp duty on 50% of the market value of that property.
Right. So
yeah.
You'd have to be sure, wouldn't you?
You definitely do need to be sure because, the stamp duty is quite steep.
It certainly would be.
Yeah.
So, it really is quite complicated, isn't it? And that's why you absolutely must have a person who understands all this stuff, like your agency.
Yeah, it is very
Settlements.
important. I've been to town to do settlements before, in town, and I've seen people there acting for themselves, trying to get it across the line with the bank, and there's just so many errors or stamp duty not being paid and stuff like that. So, it can end up costing you more trying to save, that little bit of money doing it yourself. It can end up costing you more in the long run. So,
yeah. And that doesn't even count the things that might come back and bite you later if you don't get them all right. The things that you think you're doing the right thing now and it all goes through, and then sometime down the track you think, oh my goodness, what's happened here? I should have got somebody in to help me.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you want to achieve that good title and be registered on the title. So it's important to engage somebody that knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
And we do it every day. So, we know the rules.
It pays to have somebody do it for you. I always believe that you don't buy an ice cream and lick it yourself and get somebody else to lick it for you. You actually do some damage to yourself if you don't get it absolutely right, and it costs you thousands, can't it?
It can, in the circumstance of a normal settlement. If you're acting for yourself and you don't meet the settlement date and you go past your 3 working day grace period that you have to effect settlement, it can end up costing you thousands in penalty interest just from not having a box ticked. So it's important to engage the professionals to do the job for you.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day as well, you pay for what you get.
Yes,
so,
yes.
You don't go buy a Corolla and expect to drive out of the car yard in a Maserati, and it's the same with settlement agents as well. You do get what you pay for.
Yeah. So with your fees, that's you negotiate those beforehand, or how does that work?
Yeah, we've got our own scale. We were deregulated back in February. So we have our own scale that we work on. A majority of the time the clients will call us for a quote and we negotiate at that time. However, if the client hasn't made contact with us, we give them a call when we've got the file and have a chat to them about it then. Everything's up front. We must disclose to the client in our cost disclosure all the fees that they'll have for settlement.
And what about when people are buying a property or indeed selling one, do you a lot of times agents will actually recommend somebody. Is that something you can follow reasonably confidently, or should you do your own homework in assessing who you want to do your settlement for you?
It's totally up to the client who they nominate for settlement. It's not the real estate agent can recommend who their settlement agency is that they refer to. I have referrers to our office as well.
Okay.
However, that interest must be disclosed to the client. So even if it's just a business relationship and no financial relationship, we must get our client to sign a form to confirm that they're aware that the real estate agent does refer business to us. So
right.
But I definitely recommend to everybody to do their own homework and phone around and see how their call's handled, and how they're dealt with on the phone, because that's the experience that they will get when it comes to settlement.
Very true, isn't it? The first impression is so important.
Absolutely, and if you can call somewhere and ask to speak to the principal and you get put straight through without 50 questions, you've got a good settlement agency.
Indeed, because the last thing you really want in dealing with a settlement agent is going through all those hoops just to talk to somebody who's dealing with your case.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
So if you call and speak to any one of us, you can speak to us at any time. There's only 3 of us in our office, so we have a no ask policy within our office. So if you call our office, you get put straight through to that person.
Okay.
If they're not on the phone, obviously.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you don't get the 20 questions.
Oh, fantastic. That really is such a big plus.
It is.
In my opinion.
It is, definitely.
Yeah. So where can people get in touch with you, Reagan?
Yes, they can call our office on 9221-2600 or they can visit our website, which is advantagesettlements.com.au.
Fantastic.
And all our mobile numbers are listed there as well. So if it's after hours, clients are more than welcome, or potential clients are more than welcome to call us on our mobiles as well.
Wonderful stuff. Reagan, thank you so much for joining us today and telling us a little bit about Advantage Settlements and some of the pitfalls that we can run across. So my advice to anybody about to sell or buy a property, Advantage Settlements is a place to go.
Thank you so much.
Reagan, thanks for coming in. We look forward to catching up with you again really soon.
Thanks so much.
More on the Sattler File shortly.
This is the Sattler File.